I think, and again, I don't think I'm engaging in hyperbole here. I think we can save lives if we start doing something like this and help neighbor saving neighbor. That's what I've been doing. Now, what has been the response of the previous board? The previous board didn't want anything to do with this program. They basically, one of my friends summed it up quite nicely. All they wanted to scream, and they literally screamed at me, is liability. They were only concerned about liability. So they figured if they weren't used, they can't be sued. So they didn't want anything to do with this. Now, the interesting thing is they're so obsessed with liability. If you take a look at the budget this year, we have $40,000 that have been budgeted for the AEDs. We don't know how that's being spent. And I can just tell you what I spent for the AEDs in the past, but I have no idea since obviously I have no access. This is our money, folks. This is what we should know what they're spending it on. But I'll tell you what they are spending it on. They're spending $30 to $50 per AED here in the neighborhoods to move all the AEDs down 6 to 12 inches to conform with ADA rules for people in wheelchairs. There isn't a single person in a wheelchair here in SoliVita that can reach an AED and back in 3 minutes. There isn't a single one. I had my friend who's in pretty good shape get in a wheelchair, and I said, go and find one. He did his best. It took him 17 minutes in a wheelchair. You have today grass that's about 3 inches tall, and you're going to take a wheelchair and go there. Now, here's the other thing, and even Lita Epstein brought this up. We're not part of the ADA requirements. We are a private community. The areas that are open for public access are the golf courses and the restaurants. This is private. We're not even part of the ADA requirements for public access. Folks, we're wasting money. We're wasting money on something that will have no effect whatsoever on helping us to save lives in here in SoliVita. And that's why Faye invited me to talk about this today. I've been shut up. I was obviously the object of a 4-page letter from Marie Seppi that was just slanderous, and I told her I was going to sue her. But this is where the previous board was. They even, like I said, one of the other things that they insisted I do at a cost of $25 per AED is to purchase are you ready for this now? A technical manual to be put in every AED. There isn't a person here again who would read it. It's 72 pages of technical information about the AEDs. You want to know about the currents? You want to know about the electrical resistance? You want to know about that? And I even said to Larry, Larry, how the hell is somebody going to read it when you open up an AED, the alarm's going to go off, your spouse is collapsed on the floor, and you got 3 minutes. You're going to page through 72 pages of technical information? Do it. You're insubordinate. Quote, you're insubordinate. I didn't do it. I refuse to spend my money on something that's a complete waste of time. Unless somebody could prove to me, and even so, and here's the kicker. I contacted Phillips, who has all of our AEDs, and I said, could I post that on our website, on the SoliVita website? They said, sure, we'll be happy to. So it's posted there. I don't know if there's been any eyeballs. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there again, that's the mentality. So here's where we are. We don't want the people to use it, but we're lowering them so that somebody in a wheelchair still can't get it, but they can now have it more convenient for them. I would not be surprised if you're going to see the Braille signs up on these AEDs pretty soon, because, we're going to cover all the bases here. The only thing we don't want is we don't want them to be used. Now, if this community is okay with that, and incidentally, if you just do some napkin calculations, we have over $300,000 in AEDs here in SoliVita. $300,000 has been spent on the AEDs here. As I looked at the calculations, we have more AEDs per home now than any other community. Sure, there are a lot more in its villages. The villages also has 115,000 population. We have more per home than any other community. We also have, thanks to the wonderful CCC program that we have here today, we have over 4,500 people that have been trained how to use that AED, and have trained how to use CPR. The problem is they've never connected. So the program that I was trying to develop before they kneecapped me was I was trying to develop a system that would bring this group, 4,500 plus, to the people who need it, meaning the people who suffered a cardiac event. That, in summary, is what I have been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. And I want to invite everybody who's watching this video and everybody around here to I'd help us get this message out. We can save more people. We can save lives. We can truly become a community who cares about each other far more. So that's what I've been doing. Now, that's the essence what my commercial is. At this point, I'd be delighted to answer any questions that you might have and just move on to that. And you have one, Pat?
Is the association or the HOA against training on AEDs, since they have allocated or permitted the CERT team to do CPR training? Will they allow AED training?
The HOA board has nothing to do with the CCC training. Completely and totally separate. The CCC training, the Czech Hall compressed classes, are under the auspices of the Polk County Sheriff's Police and the Fire Department. They have nothing to do with that. Now, they also have something called Pulse Point 2 apps. One is yellow, which it has all the AEDs located, and they have Pulse Point Respond, which technically is doing the same thing of the proposal that I'm suggesting, except it's very difficult to work with it because it's all anonymous. So I have no idea who are these volunteers, where they are, and whether or not they're coming to provide assistance. It's too anonymous right now. That's a public program. The Ready Alert program, which you may hear me refer to, is a private program located right here in Florida. We've talked many times to the owners of this. This is what they're using in the villages. This has worked out so well. They get a text or they get a phone call saying that somebody at 586 San Joaquin, that's my house, needs assistance, and hopefully they'll come over and provide assistance. Now, to answer another question, which may be ancillary to the one you're asking, Pat, you're under no obligation to help. There's no legal liability to come and help. So, I mean, again, unless you're a lifeguard, I don't think anybody in this room looks like a lifeguard to me, or you're an EMT, or, you're a primary care physician, you're under no obligation, no legal responsibility to help. Hopefully you will. And if I were the leader of this program, and I'll say to them, look, you got 3 notifications over the last couple of months, you haven't responded to any of them. Are you still a part of this program? Do you want to be part of this program? So we need somebody to provide some accountability and some follow-up and continue to do that. But yes. And so the other question, which immediately, in fact, Fade asked me, what if nobody shows up? Well, you're back where you are August 10th, 2025. Nobody's going to show up today. Now, we're going to work on that. And I'm going to disagree with anybody who says we can't find volunteers in my neighborhood. I'm going to disagree with that. Prove me wrong, but I'm going to disagree with that because I already checked. In Verona, I have 5 people. 2 of them, one of them is a retired nurse, emergency room nurse. The other is a working emergency room nurse. Both of them are extremely qualified to provide CPR, NO, and AED. Those are 2. I'm going to be 1. My friend, who was formerly the chair of the Safety and Security Committee, said he will volunteer. That's 4. I know out of 190 other people, I can find 1. I know I can. I've had people come over and say to me, anything I can do, let me know. Now, so that's my program. I can tell you much more about it, and I can hand out anybody who's interested. I have written extensively about this, about the program and what it takes, and also about what are the steps we have to take. Yes, you're Diane, right?
Diane.
Yeah, Diane. I recognize you.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Diane. That's what I'm out of the meeting. I would like to ask you about liability. From what I understand and what
Don Rimses?
John Wilson. John Wilson. We have no liability because there's a Good Samaritan law. Plus, is it called Good Samaritan?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And there's also a federal law that protects people for trying to help.
We have the strongest, most ironclad, actually, Good Samaritan law in the country. Let me read this. This is Florida statute, again, 768.1325. I memorized the thing. Here's what it says on Clause 3. Notwithstanding of any provision of law to the contrary, and except as provided subsection 4, this is legalese, I'm sorry. It says here, a person who uses or attempts to use an automated external defibrillator, that's an AED, on a victim of a perceived medical emergency without objection of the victim of the perceived medical emergency is immune from civil liability for any harm resulting in the use or the attempted use of such a device. In addition, notwithstanding any other provision of law to the contrary, and except as provided subsection 4, any person who acquired a device and makes it available for use, including but not limited to a community association organized under Chapter 617, 718, Chapter 720, that's us, is immune from liability if the harm is not due to the failure of such a person. Right here. It's right here. And when I said that to Larry, he said I was being insubordinate and to shut up.
Okay, I got a question. This is Dr. Novak
I'm
here.
going to pass this around.
I got a question. The question is, what if a person has a do not resuscitate?
And again, if they do, you should not resuscitate.
But you would have to ask them.
You would have to ask
their
them.
Spouse.
Again, the default is that unless there's any specifics, signs say do not resuscitate, or the person says it, the default is help. You provide assistance and let the hospital follow up on that. That's the default. That's been standard operating procedure for a long time.
And another thing I wanted to ask, I'm a veteran. I've had 2 heart attacks. I'm probably on your list, but I didn't have them here. But I've had 2 heart attacks because of damage.
Yeah.
Okay, from being a veteran. And the biggest thing I did when I had my first heart attack is I took aspirin. Second heart attack, I took aspirin. One thing you need to also tell people is everybody needs to carry aspirin, because the doctor, when I went in, said, how did you know how to take aspirin? I said, just because of my age and the way I was feeling, it's better to take aspirin than not take it. That can help you. Buy you time.
Right.
And it bought me time.
And again, that's part of a campaign just to educate people here. Look at cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of people 60 and older. We know that. And like I said, just the statistics, and I'm not here to frighten anybody. 800,000 people this year are going to have a heart attack. 650,000, it will be the first one. Of the people who have heart attacks, 75% of them have either a corresponding high blood pressure, high cholesterol, have diabetes. Folks, that's most of us here. You know, I mean, we all can check off most of those boxes. So we are, whether we like it or not, we're considered to be high risk. We can have a campaign to educate people, like you're saying, to also make sure that they have some aspirin around too, and what to do in case of that. Most spouses are going to be hysterical. That's one reason why you have to convince me that if you're a 75 or 80-year-old woman and your spouse just collapsed, you're going to do CPR for 2 minutes. If you haven't tried it, incidentally, and did it the right way, it is physically exhausting. There's a little slogan that they have in emergency rooms about that, and is if the ribs ain't breaking, he ain't waking.